Are you ready? Stand by.
Hey everybody, I'm Dave Hartman, and welcome to the Three Gun Show, the world's largest three-gun podcast. This is episode 233, where I sit down with James Gill and Jay Christiansen, both STI International shooters, and we do this in the conference room at STI International. And instead of making this like a straight-up STI commercial, we come into the show in the middle of a conversation, and we just kind of take it from there. So look at this as like a current events snapshot of three gun, or what high level three gunners sit around and talk about, and it's a great time. So we also take a few questions from the audience as well. So if you've asked me a question on Instagram in the last couple months, we might read your question. So we do talk about STI offerings as well. So while I was visiting the STI factory in Georgetown, Texas, which is really close to where I'm living now in Tejas, I got to see how all the STI parts are made, meet all the cool people that make them, and also got to shoot like a half a dozen different models, including the Omni slide ride open gun, the DVC 3 gun, the DVC Limited, the Staccato Carry, which I was not prepared to be impressed over, but I actually liked shooting that pistol a lot. So that is a cool one. You should check it out. And a super secret gun that I can now talk about. It was the STI Combat Master, which you can probably tell by the name was a joint venture between Terran Tactical Innovations and STI for the upcoming John Wick 3 movie. That's right. John Wick is moving to a 2011 platform, which is good for him. All great guns and a fantastic time overall. So I think I say this on the podcast like all the time, but I love visiting factories. I love watching things being made, and I really like meeting the people that make like the cool toys that we play with. So this was a lot of fun. So huge thanks to Jay and James for putting this one together, and to Tony Pignato and Nate and all the wonderful people at STI for having me, and for you. Enjoy this roundtable discussion, this BS session with James Gill and Jay Christiansen. Guys, welcome to the show.
Hey Dave, what's going
Dave,
on?
how you doing?
Oh man, I'm excited to have you. So real quick, we're going to start with a little story time from James Gill. James, tell us how you reset.
So this happens at every match I go to, and I'm pretty honest about what I'm doing. First stage of the match, I meet new shooters, and I let them know, hey, I'm James Gill, and I'm going to reset this stage and the last stage, and that's it. And they kind of laugh at me, and sure enough, usually it works out that on that last stage of the match, everybody's wore out, exhausted, and I'll strip off my belt as I'm done shooting, and then I run to reset targets just as fast as I can sprint. And everybody looks at me and they're like, man, that guy's been hustling the entire match. And I'm like, I told you I wasn't going to reset anywhere else. And it never fails, throughout the match, somebody will point at me and they're like, hey, you're resetting. I said, yeah, but this one's only right here by the start box, And so, I think people are trying to catch me now resetting in the match. But, I mean, USPSA Nationals, 22 stages or 9 days of shooting. I ran and reset the whole time and never got tired. And I was, the fellow three gunners that were there, like, man, this is the most we've seen you reset. I said, it's all in 12 yards,
That's what I was telling Dave earlier. It was like after 66 stages of shooting, you're like, man, I just feel like I just shot one day of three gun.
Yeah, it was pretty light work.
Yeah. So Jay Christiansen on the mic over here. Jay, welcome to the show, man. It's good to have you. So Tony was telling us earlier that there was some Tony Pignato, for those not in the room, was telling us that there was a lot of guys that were tired after the first day.
Yeah, and even the squad I shot with, good people there, and it's a different format than I used to shoot USPSA quite a bit, and going back to it, forgot how physically demanding three gun has become. Mm-hmm. And there's certain matches that I've openly admitted that I don't necessarily want to shoot because I don't want want the 3-gun. I don't want to do the natural terrain 10Ks with a rifle on my back. Because I'm just going to get outrun. But
do you mean like legit 10K, or do you mean like matches that require like a lot of running?
Well, Hard as Hell, for example, the first year I saw
right.
match feedback from that, it looked pretty neat. And there spider walls and climbing up into barns and stuff, I can do it. But I know I'm going to get outrun by certain people. So I'm not going to be honest with you, I'm not going to put as much effort going into that match as possible, because to me, the deciding factor on that match is physical ability and not shooting ability.
Right.
And not a blend of the two. And I'm not going to say I'm not going to go to those matches, but legitimately the actual 10K, there's a couple guys doing these run and gun type matches.
Yeah, I just did one in Colorado as a match director. It was fun. And
it looks like something that I would do for the experience, kind of like a marathon. But I've only done one marathon. I'm not going to do that every weekend.
Right. Well, that's what we kind of sold it as to our shooters. Like, hey, this is going to be a fun shooting match. You're going to have a good time. But this is definitely like a challenge for you to overcome. It's not, like your USPSA club match or anything.
Well, have you done any of the Tough Mudder type things, Spartan races?
Yeah, dude, dozens of them. Several dozen of them.
So I've seen them throughout the years. Over on the East Coast, they had one up at the Peacemaker Range several years ago. I don't really have any desire to go run around and do that stuff, but the other day I had an itch and I started looking and I was like, I want to do one of those Tough Mudder type things. And I went and started researching and trying to find event dates. And then the next morning I woke up, I was like, nah.
Never mind.
I'm good.
Have you seen that tactical games that the people are holding?
That's what we've been seeing. Our buddy Bill Corcoran posting about it.
I want to go do
pretty
that.
Fun.
I'm not going to be able to do the one in February, but I want to go do that. That looks like a kick in the pants. And it also looks like a 3-gunner could wipe the floor with those dudes.
I think so.
What is this? I haven't seen
It's
this.
kind of isn't it kind of like a Spartan race mixed with
It looks
shooting?
like a little bit of Spartan racy type stuff, but mostly like CrossFit mixed with shooting.
Mm-hmm.
Like you'll do, several 100-pound farmer carries, burpees, and things like that, and then be required to engage targets at a certain distance with your carbine and pistol.
I mean, is it like that's the match? Or
Yes. And it's set up like have you seen the CrossFit games on television?
Yeah.
You know how they have like a whole lane, like a starting line, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then everyone has their own lane that they go down, and then they accomplish tasks along the way. Like here's the kettlebell swing, here's the clean and jerk, here's the pull up station, here's the rope climb, just on and on and on. It's like that, and they'll put you on a line with a number of dudes, and then you advance to different positions. Yeah.
I mean, I'm up for the challenge. I'm looking at doing more stuff that is fun.
Yeah.
So, being that shooting is my job and training people is my job. This club match we were at last weekend, there were a couple guys on the squad I've never shot with before. Nice people, but they just forgot that they were at a club match. And
were they too high strung?
They were stressing about everything and wanted to throw overlays on targets.
At a club match?
At club matches.
Arguing about rules.
And I
wait, is this a 3-gun club match or USPSA?
No, USPSA.
Okay.
Now, I appreciate keeping the rules and keeping things where they're at, but the guys that were arguing, it wasn't like Jay had a poor shot on target and was arguing, trying to get the call to go his way. Somebody else looked at a target and said, well, I don't think that shot's there or something. Like, well, you can walk the prize table for him. Like, give him the hit. Like, it was such a trivial call, and people were just stressing. And, so I threw my hat in there. I said, hey, you guys should just fist fight about this. And I'm going to climb on the roof and just watch. Yeah.
Actually, you said we should all fist fight.
Oh, yeah, we should all fist fight. Yeah, that's right.
And then you said you were going to run and stand back behind me.
Yeah. I just like, I wasn't ready for that type of mentality of people stressing. And we saw it a little bit this past season at a couple of 3-gun matches. I think the community's kind of sorted themselves out a little more here lately. But, you don't have the the people whining as much at matches. Yes, some people still do it. Yeah, there's a few of those, but I think overall, I haven't been in the mix of people, and I've had people ask how I've shot, and matter of fact, at Rocky Mountain this year, somebody fussed because I'd won a stage, and they couldn't believe I did.
Mm-hmm. And said there was no way that he beat Daniel Horner on that stage. It's not possible.
Really?
Yeah. And went to the match director and everything.
That's racist.
Well, and so.
Wait, no, capablest?
So historically at that match, we shoot with a match staff. The Marine team is shot with a match staff.
So you were on the RO staff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And
or RO match.
Yep. And every year I've been coaching the Marine team. And while I was on the team, and even now I still shoot with those guys with their junior personnel, guys that are new to the team. Most of the guys on that program don't know what 3-gun is until they go to that match.
Right.
And so I'm coaching them through just making sure they're not leaving their gun bags on the range. And
stop pointing guns at each other.
Every year I have a good match there. It's a rifle match. I do very well there. And then somebody's like, oh, I don't think Gill could have run it that fast. And, so there have been several years where I was forced to reshoot stages.
Really?
Yep. And it only helped my time because I got a practice run. Just weird things. And I used to get stressed out about that. Now I don't care. I'm just like, whatever, man. I'm here to have fun.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's it for me too. I did the so I don't think I've been shooting as long as you. I started shooting 3-gun 2011.
Just a few years less than me.
Okay. Well, you're giggling. So
about a decade.
I mean,
oh really? So when did you start
in the
shooting
sport
3-gun?
since 2006?
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely have not been shooting as long as you have. I remember watching you on 3-gun Nation. Oh man, I should have you sign something since we're here. Yeah, I'll get a piece of paper.
The 2011 hat.
There you go.
Might be worth something.
Yeah, buddy.
The
We'll
hat's
get
at
a
least
nice
$15.
Sharpie. Get a nice Sharpie.
You can get 10 for that on eBay all day.
I don't even remember where I was going with that one. Oh, so I did that thing too, but it happened a lot faster for me of just the, because I do make my living through the 3-gun show and it is my livelihood, I realized really fast, if I hate this and I don't like going to matches and I'm stressed out, it's gonna turn into a shitty show. People are gonna stop listening and I'm gonna hate it and I'm gonna quit. So, my focus for, I guess, the latter half of 2018 and for 2019 is I'm going to go to matches where I know a bunch of people and I get to shoot with people I enjoy and not people I don't enjoy. And I'm going to, and if I meet new friends along the way that I enjoy, great, right? And then I'm going to go to matches that I enjoy the match staff. I enjoy the ROs. I enjoy the range. I enjoy the local culture. These are the things that are important to me, is that I have a good time doing this. And I want to shoot well, when we were shooting Texas 3-gun championship, that was awesome. That was one of the highlights of my years, shooting with you two fellows, because you guys are cool dudes. And we had a great squad. There's a bunch of cool dudes on that squad, really good shooters. And it sucks when you get on a bummer of a squad, where people are complaining about this and that, and just ruins the whole mood.
Yeah, I could get if
we can't hear you nodding, by the way.
If
Jay.
You get on a squad with people you don't know,
you are correct.
If you go to a match by yourself and you don't know anybody at the match, for example, it could be frustrating where you're trying to go through and just enjoy your weekend, whatever, and people aren't talking to you. Well, that goes both ways, but going to a match where people go out of their way to make the match uncomfortable for you. So let's say you shoot whatever match, let's say you're up in North Texas or something, and it rains on you. Basically any of the 3-gun Nation matches now, it's going to get rained on. The last match we were at, the UML championship or whatever, it rained, and it was nasty, muddy in the bays, and one of the bays had 6 or 8 inches of standing water the whole time we were shooting it. And for about 5 minutes in that morning, I did complain. I was throwing a little tantrum before anybody got out there. I was, this is miserable, and just went back to the same mentality. It's Saturday or Sunday, whatever. I think it was Sunday afternoon, Sunday morning. I was like, I'm on the range. I'm shooting. Why am I upset? Why am I and the last thing I want to do was turn around and piss people off by, reminding them that they're also muddy and they're also getting rained on.
Dude, we had that at hard as hell. Like the first day was rainy and cold for most of the day, and I shot a stage in like the full out rain, and I had to lie down on a swinging platform that was made of, I think it was steel, and it probably wouldn't make sense to make it out of aluminum, so it was steel. And then it had a rug on there, so it was anti-slip, right? Well, what does that rug do to rain?
Big old sponge.
So I watched Josh Freilich shoot in front of me because I was following him all weekend, and he got caught up in his jacket that he had laid down so he wouldn't get wet. So I'm like, F that, I'm going to lay down. I laid down to make ready, and I immediately regretted it because, like, my special spot immediately got completely soaked. And, like, tops of my thighs, my belly, my chest, just completely soaked. And then I was like that for the rest of the day. It was nice and cold. But the people that you're with really make that. You could choose to bitch and complain about the rain, or you could be like, well, this is going to be fun. Try not to eat shit in the mud, and it's all in how you look at it.
Who was the guy on our squad from Oklahoma?
Chad Torres.
Chad Torres, that's Colorado boy. That's my boy.
Colorado.
He was
belly flopped into the water, like shot prone in an area where
he called it water buffalo.
And it was awesome. And he actually had a pretty good run on it. I'm surprised his shot shells stayed on his belt.
I was too. He came up and he stuffed shot shells in the gun. I'm like, I can't believe he still had shells.
Yeah, and that right there was perfect. Just we were all miserable at that point, and he was just laughing. He's like, I'm gonna do it, and we all went with it. It was pretty fun. That's
Chad, man. He's got a really good attitude about a lot of stuff like that.
Yeah, we had a really good squad there.
I was talking to you about this before, Dave, that that was probably the most fun match I've had to date. Just not just the match itself, but our squad was awesome.
You guys were shooting with Ruben, Dylan, Amax.
We were a squad behind.
Behind them.
So we were basically bumping into those guys the whole time, which is nice because
Riley Croft.
We were squad with Riley, Aaron Hayes, Garrison. Chad and his other buddy.
Forrest.
Who the PCC?
Yes, Forrest Lathrop.
The father-son combination.
Ryan Breeze and his boy RJ, and they were shooting 2x4. And then their friend Aaron Wood. I think that was and Todd McFarland.
Yep.
But yeah, man, just total blast. I don't know if you saw any of the videos, but I told Riley, I was like, hey, in the muddy bays, I said, hey, I'm going to do my pistol reload. I'm going to drop my mag. I'm going to throw it over the shoulder. You got to catch it so it didn't go in the mud. And then James is like, you're retarded. I said, well, I'm going to do it anyway.
Yeah, I gave him hell for that. I was like,
no. I said, fine, Dad.
Just
I'm not
reload like you normally do. You clean the mag later. It's not a big deal.
Well, then I was like, all right, fine, I'm not going to do it. And then I got up there, not on the clock. I did it anyway. And so he's got the camera video in it. He's following it, and then when I get done shooting, he goes straight down to the mag. Goes, it didn't work.
They threw it right in the mud anyway.
But then by the last one, we finally got it, and we had that mover across in that deep water, and I did the reload. I dropped it and then kind of did a little over-the-shoulder thing. Riley caught it.
That looked like a fun match.
It was a lot of fun.
I was already done with my season then. I got called up from the bench to go to hard as hell, but for UML, I was like, nah, I'm done. I can't do anymore. And I was going to be in the middle of a move coming up. Actually, no, at that time I was moving same weekend.
Dude, I'm telling you, the UML matches, that was our first UML match. I like it. I like the format.
So I'm not a huge fan.
I'm not a huge fan of half-day matches. The half-day format, I think it gets a little restrictive, but whatever. It don't matter. But I do like that match format. They run a good match.
My first and only UML major that I've shot was the Wyoming Governor's match, and I was really disappointed in the lack of shotgun because there were so many pistol option targets that it ended up being like you'd be stupid to shoot these with shotguns. So that was disappointing for me.
Well, that was another of those growing pain matches where
I hope.
So that was this past year's Wyoming Governor's Cup.
Several months ago, 4 months ago.
This
Yeah.
year, 2018.
Yeah.
So I believe the first year that they did it.
That was competition
that was-
dynamics.
yeah, that
and
wasn't
that
UML.
was completely different.
No, but even before that,
No.
That was the first one.
Yeah,
That's the only second one this year.
First one was
Governor's Cup?
17. Second one was 18.
Yeah, it's first two.
I thought the first year they had local guys doing it and weren't familiar with the competition, and they had another crew come in and put it on.
It was Competition Dynamics that did it the first year, which was 2017. And I don't think we need to revisit it, but it was a complete and utter shit show.
Yep.
And then SMD put it on this year. And it was like, yeah, that was definitely a match. And it was definitely better than the year before, but it wasn't anything to write home about.
Yeah, I want to go shoot that one just because I want to go shoot prairie dogs.
Yeah. I mean, that part sounds cool. So it's in Cody this year. So whatever it took you to get to last year's match, you can add 5 hours now.
It's in Cody, Wyoming. This.
Yeah.
I don't know how long that drive is, but
Oh, God, it's going to be a long time from here.
I got like a lifetime sponsorship with Monster.
Oh, shit.
Well, I mean,
didn't
I'm
bring us one?
sponsoring Monster. I'm
Oh.
giving them all of my
gotcha.
lifetime earnings to keep me alive on the road.
You are a Marine, right? Marines love their Monster.
Sugar free. There you go. That's I mean, I'm only
Well, so on the UML topic, one of the conversations I've had with several people is that the scoring they don't like because it's too close to total time, right? So if like the fastest time on a stage is a 30 seconds, then that stage is now worth 30 points, right? So that must mean it's a short stage. Now, if a long range stage, the fastest time is 60, it's now worth double the points of that first stage, which is 60 points, right?
Yep.
So again, it gets back to total time, meaning that the long range stages are the only stages that matter.
Well, the idea behind that, like Pete said, he broke it down for us at the match, is it keeps the gap closer and it keeps the stages weighted based on the stage.
Mm-hmm.
So, like your base stage that might take 15 seconds, instead of being worth 100 points, if you have a malfunction on a pistol or rifle or something, and it takes 5 seconds. I mean, you're talking about 30% of a score.
On
that
total
would
time.
that would be 30 something points. No, on the the points.
Okay.
Point stages. So that way, it's only worth 15 points. But if you look at the spread, it keeps everybody a lot closer.
But so okay, all you're doing is changing the ruler. Does that really make a better match?
well, it's hard to say. So the total time matches, like when I was shooting over on the East Coast, they would have, depending on their club match, they would have, let's say, 8 stages.
Mm-hmm.
7 of them were going to be kind of smaller, maybe a small jungle run with shotgun, but 30 to 40 second stages, and then they would have one long range stage, and I'm historically going to be 2 to 3 seconds off pace on a base stage, losing time and movement, or on a jungle run just the foot speed, and then I go shoot the one rifle stage and win the match by 30 seconds, because that was the one stage I put the focus on, and people would get frustrated all the time. So then they would say, okay, well, let's weight the stages differently. Some matches used to do, if it was a 3-gun stage, it might be 150 points versus a 1-gun stage. Well, a 1-gun stage being a rifle stage, that's an extremely difficult stage. So to weight it, if somebody comes in and just burns the time down on that stage and they shoot it 50% faster than everybody else, it wasn't valued correctly at being a 100-point stage instead of a 150-point stage. But when I looked at the UML scoring, because I thought it was kind of finicky, and I was like, well, it's a 20-second stage. It's only 20 points. So the percentage is there, but instead of losing 10 points, it's hard to make up 10 points on that rifle stage. You have to legitimately cut somebody's time in half to make up, to make the time difference. So there's just nowhere to do it. So I like how they kept it compressed. That's the feature that I like. Not necessarily the factor of it being total time or the point value. It gives you a chance, if you have a malfunction, to to recoup from that, because in most matches, any bay style match, if you have one hiccup,
Yep.
you're done.
Yep. Well, and I guess UML was born out of Las Vegas, which is primarily bay style matches.
Yep.
Exactly. Yeah, and so like,
Do you
for
think
example,
it translates? I'm sorry. Do you think it translates over to open terrain? Because this was traditional nationals. Do you think that style translates over?
Well, I mean, what was it? Four of the stages were open terrain stages.
Yep. Yeah.
So I mean, yeah, it's so. For example, like for the UML match, Daniel won it. James was 4 points behind him.
Daniel Jurasic.
Yeah. And
What did I? Jurassic.
I've been second behind him for a year and a half now. I've been before him. It was Nick Atkinson. I'm like always the bridesmaid.
Yeah.
but so
You're our second best gal, James.
But just for for the points example, so like I said, he was only 4 points behind him, and then I came in third, and I think it was either 12 or 14 points behind you. So in a normal scoring match, that point spread would have been a lot different, and in total time also that points gap would have been a whole lot different.
But does that matter? Does it matter if it's 4 points or 8 points? You're still second place.
Yeah.
That's my question.
No.
Like I don't know.
I don't really think it's going to make, like I said, the points versus total time is where the biggest difference in where the standings are going to shift around.
Right.
Because I think, doesn't Price Score have a feature you can look at it? If they score it one way, you can look at it scored in a different way.
Maybe, but I'm
And if you do that,
not familiar with it.
there's some matches that some people have done that, and it'll actually shift the finishing order around if you go from total time to points and vice versa. So I don't know. Pete's got that's his way of wanting to do it. So that's how it's done.
I'm not running matches, and I try and look at the scoring. That was the first match I've been to in a long time where I wasn't 100% certain on what the rule set was and the scoring. And so I even asked the ROs on the first stage, hey, what are the penalties? Please fill me in, looking at, is it worth it to take a penalty here? How much is it going to hurt? But
well, then he's got two different sets of scoring. It's got
expedition and traditional.
Yeah. So this one we use traditional. That's why I call it traditional nationals. So,
but going into the match prepared, if it's a total time match, and you go into it ahead of time, you know what you're getting into. The last thing I'm going to do is go to a match and try and make that match conform to what I want.
Yeah, that's a good point.
This last year, over the last year and a half, three stages, Jay, 3 different matches went to where people didn't like how the match was run. People didn't like how things were scored or what a stage looked like. So after the match was over, they arbitrated, complained about it, whatever, got the match redesigned to their liking. Basically got stages thrown out.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah.
Yep.
And
which would take them from where they finished to lower.
Yeah. And, so matter of fact, was the Vortex match.
Well, that was
different area.
They lost the tablets.
But the stage that tablet was damaged or whatever, we looked at that stage ahead of time, and again, I verbalized I thought the stage was dumb. And I was complaining to Jay and to my squad mates as we're looking at it. I said, I don't want to come stand in one point and shoot 65 rounds of paper. I think it was kind of dumb. Now, I know why they did it. They want to get your
barrel up, right?
So I got it. And I was like, why am I complaining? Like, it's the challenge. It's the skill that's set in front of me. I'm going to do it. And actually, Jay and I shot the stage. He was first on it. I was second on it.
Complained about the stage, and we were first and second on it.
And that was one of those areas where I had to remind myself, okay, if I go to a stage or go to a match and I don't like what they're doing, like Hard as Hell, where I've said, I don't know that I'm ready to go jump into that format yet. I could very easily choose not to go there and complain about it, or I could go and just take on the task and do it. And I'm not going to get there and be like, can you please change this obstacle for me to make it easier for me? No, like that's the challenge that's set out.
Yeah, that particular match, you kind of have to put a lot of things on the back burner as and just like, this is hard as hell. And if you repeat that as a mantra, you're going to have a great time. But on that vortex shooter source, my problem wasn't with like heating up the barrel or burning 65 rounds in one stage or in one area. Mine was like, this little thing to heat up my barrel is going to cost me $22, and what do I gain out of that?
Right.
Yeah,
That was the hard part for me.
yeah. So I mean, you're gonna have those scenarios where, if you go to a match and a match director gets creative and has 50 slugs in a match, for example.
Yeah.
Most people are traveling with 20 or 30 slugs maybe, and just to cost, certain things like the guys that are shooting heavy, if they have to shoot 60 rounds of rifle with their $2 a round ammo versus 55 cents a round.
It's not $2 a round.
No.
Those heavy guys love to say, my ammo's so expensive.
Well,
but I've been looking.
Depends on what they're shooting, and
Well, they should
if
be
they're
doing
shooting
what we're doing.
if they're shooting their high performance match premium long range ammo
Yeah.
at 12-yard papers.
I could do that, though, with 5.56. I could shoot $1.50 a round at paper and be an idiot, too. Like, they need to go buy, the battle packs?
Bulk, yeah.
They need to go buy that surplus shit.
But nobody made you get into the sport. Nobody made you pick the division you're in. You chose to do this. So, yes, a lot of our equipment is expensive. A lot of our, the cost of utility of gassing up the equipment is very expensive. Well, you voluntarily signed up for it. Like, what do you want me to, yeah, please.
What do you want to do?
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
So, but again, going to a match, there's a match that was local. It was a fun match, a night match, and they had a stage where every year they had a driving vehicle stage. You know what I'm talking about there, Jay?
Yes.
And, as I sat on the stage, you're sitting on a bucket on a trailer, and they pull you around, and the trailer bouncing moves you all over the place. I was worried initially coming up to the stage that I wouldn't be able to see my sights to get a good sight picture because there was no lights allowed on that stage, but they had black lights and everything else. So knowing that all the targets were painted bright orange, I was looking at it and said, oh, they got spray paint. So I thought about taking spray paint and rubbing that on my sights so I could get a better glow on my rear sights. Well, as we got to the stage, I looked at it, and it was almost daylight bright. I could see my pistol. I could see the targets. That wasn't what made the stage difficult. Anyway, we went through and shot it, and there was three of us. I think it was myself, Dylan Easley, and Jerry Micklick that tied for the win on the stage. And while we were sitting there, it's a choke point in the match, so a couple squads were there, and guys are complaining, "Oh, this stage is not fair." I was like, "What are you talking about there?" The guys that get to shoot open have dots, and it's an advantage. I said, if anything, it's a disadvantage because they're having a light glaring on their lens, blinding them. And I was like, first of all,
And they're in a different division.
yeah, they're in a different division. And I said, and at this match, you can actually run a red dot. You can run a compensated pistol. The only thing that puts you in the open is your magazine length. And the guy didn't even know the rules of the match, and he was complaining about it. I said, you could pick your equipment. And that match was awesome because whatever you wanted to shoot, you could shoot basically. But again, it was somebody that didn't like the challenge that was presented in front of them, complained about the scenario, and then whined till they finally threw the stage out.
Oh, no kidding.
Because it was too difficult for them or whatever. I'm like, everybody did the same thing.
Dude, we had at our running gun, we did a survey, and one of the pieces of feedback we got was that the long-range targets were too hard. And I was thinking, like, wow, that's interesting because we put 17 by 22-inch steel at 400 yards. And another one, yeah, right,
All day.
All day long.
yeah, and it, for Jay, you listen to the show all the time. You know that in Colorado we don't shoot past 200 yards, right?
Yep.
And so in this particular match, the running gun, we got the approval to shut down the entire range. So on our air quote high power range that goes out to 600 yards, we put some targets out there and changed the shooting position. Ended up being like 430 yards or whatever. But if you come from a culture that does not shoot to 430 yards, and you tell me that target was too hard, you're full of shit, and you have no place to say that. And now I'm thinking about it, I probably shouldn't have mentioned the survey, but whoops. But But that's a big effing target, man. And
Yeah.
that's,
Yep.
400 yards is like a chip shot.
Well,
you know?
it's one thing if you sign up for a match and they advertise it as a bay match.
Yeah.
So you bring a short gun with let's say a red dot, shooting limited irons or limited optic, whatever.
Well, and we had one division that was TAC.
Yeah, but if somebody catered their gear thinking they're going to shoot all their hoser ammo,
Yeah.
and then you go and they have targets that are at 400 or 500 yards, I would be upset about that. Only for the fact that I was unprepared for that, not because the target's too hard, but if I didn't do my research to say, okay, what match? Like if I go shoot Rocky Mountain every year, I know what I'm getting at Rocky Mountain. The targets are, 9 miles away, and they blend in a bush. So half the time people are shooting at bushes and shadows instead of targets because they can't see them.
Yeah.
But they put
Sunflowers.
yeah, they put chloroplast behind them. They do everything they can to do it. Oh, the other match that did that, Fallen Brethren. So one year, Jim Smith goes out there and has his targets, and he doesn't paint them. And he doesn't want to reset or paint in between squads because, one, it's a logistical nightmare shutting the range down to go out and paint some targets.
Because this is a rifle-heavy match. There's like a lot of targets out there, right?
So it would basically stop the match every 20 minutes to reset targets. And so it didn't paint them, and then everybody complained. Well, the next year made an effort to go out and paint all the targets, fresh targets every day. I think he did morning and afternoon, sessions of fresh paint in the morning, and at lunch he'll get fresh paint. So better than before, and putting backers behind the targets.
Backers are huge.
Yep. And then the critique everybody gave at the end of the match was, oh, the long-range targets were too easy. Nobody had any trouble finding the target, so it was too easy. And I was standing there, and he, threw his hands in the air. He was like, screw it. Like, next year I'm not, they can set their own targets, and you're never going to cater to everybody. But people complaining about a target being too hard.
Yeah. Get better. That's what I say.
Here's your
ridiculous.
participation award. Go play soccer.
Yeah, I mean, for one, you go to the matches. You either know what to expect. If you don't know what to expect, I bet there's a place you can figure out.
Yeah,
what
Match
the matches
Recon
are
on
like.
3 Gun Show.
Something like that.
Patreon.com/3Gun Show.
And then on top of that, like you said, I didn't like how I shot the first time I ever shot. So
Yeah, me neither, man.
I
didn't blame the stage, though.
no,
I just said I sucked.
blame myself. Showed up unprepared. I had a scope that I zeroed at 200 yards and had a BDC reticle. I'm like, cool, I'm good to go. And turns out it didn't work that way.
So here's something that I know has been
We come to a pause. I got a question here.
Okay.
So.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, okay. Well, so on the topic that you were just talking about with, bringing the wrong tool for the job, short rifle or whatever. So I got a message from a guy on Instagram. His name is Jordan, and he says he's active duty military, and he's recently been bitten by the 3-gun bug. He loves a podcast, and it's helped him learn the sport, and he's struggling what size AR barrel to purchase. And he saw that I've run the 13.5 and I've run an 18, and he wanted to know which I preferred. So let's throw that out to you, gentlemen. What do you guys think?
I mean,
Keep in mind these are Texans.
Right. So, a lot of guys will tell you it depends on the match. So somebody will say, if you're going to shoot all bait stuff, get a short, super light rifle, lightweight parts, whatever. Us, we shoot for Barnes Precision Machine, and our 3-gun rifle is our 3-gun match carbine. It's available in 16 or 18-inch, but we shoot in the 18-inch configuration. Typically, people will tell you that 18-inch will shoot a little softer, is better for long-range accuracy, but it's typically a little heavier.
Yeah.
For me personally, I run 18-inch because it also helps with the reach that I have.
Yeah, you got a wingspan on you.
Yeah, I mean, I have a 16. I have my hand on the end of a 16-inch muzzle when I'm holding a rifle, so I kind of have to run an 18-inch by default. But I think it probably comes more down to personal preference at this point. Current technology and things. I mean, 16-inch. I know AMAX likes to run 14.5-inch rifles or even smaller.
No, he primarily shoots an 11.5. I think.
Yeah.
It's 11.5 or 10.5.
It's something short.
It's an SBR.
And he
He's
shoots
got
long range with
paperwork.
that, no problem, right?
However, when he goes to Vortex Shooter Source, he will go to his air quotes long gun, which is a 14.5.
So
Well,
James is more the rifle guy than I am.
Yeah.
So
So over the years, instead of trying to tell somebody this is what you have to have, so the market for 3-gun equipment, there's so many pieces of gear where someone will say, hey, this is what you want. Well, instead of telling them what they want, tell them what you get with it. Having a shorter barrel, which could be nifty for shooting in a CQB environment, or these 4.5-pound guns that everybody wants to build. I'm not a fan of the lightweight guns. I'm not a fan of short guns. If I lose a match because I can't hold up a 7-pound rifle instead of a 5-pound rifle, well, not the sport for me. But I'm not necessarily worried about the weight. Nobody wants to carry a sledgehammer with them. But
I actually like the heavier rifle because I feel like it stays more calm when I'm shooting it.
well, I mean, it's simple physics.
Especially
there's more
offhand.
mass there to absorb recoil for you
Yeah.
anyway. And it does seem to. I like an 18-inch midweight barrel. They sit pretty flat when I'm shooting offhand stuff. That's what I prefer. But I've shot shorter guns for the Pro Series. I used to shoot a 14.5-inch gun, pin and welded, and it had a different recoil impulse that I didn't like. And trying to tune gas and doing everything else, I don't want to sit here and function test a gun every time and change my gas setting depending on the weather, if it's cold or not.
Yeah.
I want a gun that's going to go bang every time, and I want to run the same piece of equipment every match so that I'm intimate with that equipment, and I'm not changing up, oh, well, this is my snow gun and this is my short gun.
Yeah.
And, just
So
run
you go a little bit higher gas than normal.
run it wide open. I want full functionality. So if
Really?
the gun is dirty, I don't ever adjust my gas settings. I played with it one time and it bit me at 3-Gun Nationals last year.
Is that Hurricane Nationals?
No, it was Frozen Nationals.
Oh,
Winter
yeah,
Nationals
okay.
Last
So-
year. Hurricane was 2 years ago, right?
Oh, yeah, my bad.
Yeah.
2 years ago.
Yeah, so it showed up, and for whatever reason, I was playing with my gas down here in Texas, and it was like 9,000 degrees or whatever.
Worked like a charm.
Yeah, and it ran great. And just experimenting with it, which I don't normally do. I haven't done in years, but I was like, okay, let me tinker with it a little bit. Then we go out to the match, and the morning we shot, it was like 26 degrees or 22 degrees. And the first stage we shoot had a little bit of long range. Nothing. I mean, it's 4 or 5 shots with the rifle, and we dumped it. But the next stage, we're shooting off some hay bales, and my gun just choked on me. And I knew exactly what it was when it happened. I couldn't do anything about it on the clock except,
Make it a bolt action?
yeah, making a bolt action. Walking off the stage, I took one of my mags and threw it about as far as I could into the woods. And Keith Garcia was laughing at me.
He's like, hey, I do that.
Yeah, and then I had the shoot off afterwards, and so he calls. He's like, "Oh, you had a Happy Gilmore moment," and I just swore. I knew it ahead of time. Like, don't tinker with this stuff. Don't tinker with it. And against my better judgment, I did. And it just reinforced right there. Yeah, functionality is everything. If my gun doesn't go bang one time, I don't want it.
Yeah.
And so
It really has to function every single time.
Yeah, it's got to run
That's
every
number
time.
1, 2, and 3.
That's why, like, our rifles, we're not running these super lightweight titanium, unobtainium freaking race parts. Like, we run full weight carriers, full weight systems, nickel boron coated.
Well-
When I tuned my rifle up, when I first got it, I tuned it one time. I did it when it was cold outside. I did, run my normal match ammo. And when I got it to the point where it was set, then I opened it, I think, another half a turn, which I think typically guys will do like a quarter, maybe an eighth a turn or something. But I went further than normal just to make sure the thing runs all the time. And I have yet to have an issue with that rifle in 2 years I've been shooting it.
When I built my rifle that I'm shooting now, it has a 18-inch Seekins barrel with a Titan comp on it, and then it does have a JP bolt. But I adjusted the gas block from a Jesse Tischhauser video.
Yep.
And he said,
Problem number 1 there. Is she even shooting anymore?
and so I'm gonna leave that one. So he said to adjust it until it functions. Turn it down until it doesn't function. keep shooting and adjusting until it does function, and then open it up another half a turn. And that's exactly what I did. And I've shot in freaking freezing ass weather. I've trained in literally freezing weather where it's like, okay, I just need to get a few shots off because I can't stand out here long enough. I've shot in sweltering hot weather, and it has worked every single time.
Yeah.
So erring on the side of overgas, I think, is an important thing.
Yeah, and it, tuning it, that's exactly how people are supposed to tune it. But that's different than saying, okay, Formula One drag racing, I've got it tuned down. The weight of my carrier is tuned down to the point where, some of these guys are running these magical splits at 6-yard papers.
Mm-hmm.
And they've got these 5-pound guns, and it's awesome. They've got a trigger finger like Max Leongridis, or, he's just a ninja on the trigger.
Yeah, pretty amazing.
And not picking on him, but just the guys shooting that
John
style
McClane.
setup.
Let's pick on John McClane.
Well, I'm talking specifically for rifle, but they go have these magical splits through a hoser stage, and then they go out to long range rifle, and they can't hit a 300-yard target.
Mm-hmm.
Like one, they don't. I'm not gonna say they don't know their data, but the gun doesn't perform the way they want it to, where it's most critical. Are you really worried about hitting that 6-yard paper? I mean, I'm basically blind and I can hit it. You could,
You're only blind in one eye.
Yeah, but that's not the degree of difficulty. I want my gun to sit and perform at the harder targets. The 300, 400, 500-yard targets.
Yeah, and that is one thing I did right, was picking like a pretty decent barrel. It's heavy as shit, and I found that out flying. I'm like, oh, this gun's a lot heavier than I thought it was.
Yeah,
but accuracy is everything, right?
So, and think about it now. So you've probably spent a good amount of time over the years putting together your equipment, and now once you got your equipment set, do you want to go back every week and readjust stuff? And
no, I hate adjusting things.
Do you want to try a new comp next week? You want to experiment with a new trigger next month? And how about a new optic? There's another optic coming out tomorrow. Somebody's making another optic. So, and if you change to that optic, you might shoot better.
I don't think so.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So all these people are investing all this time doing it.
Well, and that's one thing. So I think I picked up this. So maybe I picked this up from someone else, but I think it was from our conversation that we had, James, when you were on the show the first time. Maybe it was something else. I'm not sure. But I shoot MRAD scopes, and it's the same in every freaking scope you get. It's a ruler. It's not like, this BDC, it is the JM reticle, which implies that it was made for Jerry Michalek. By the way, I found out that works really well. But you pick up some other scope and a completely different reticle, now you got to realize figure out your holds and everything.
Correct.
So if I change scopes from an MRAD to an MRAD, same thing.
Yep.
So that's why I like shooting that type of scope. However, one thing I'm going to do. So there is air quotes debate, right, of rifle versus mid-length, 16-inch versus 18, whatever. I get asked all the time. Like, that is just one question that I read you guys. So I decided that I'm going to build a 16-inch upper. I got a mid-length, gas 16-inch upper, and I'm going to sit there with the same lower, go back-to-back on velocity, shooting long-range targets, stuff like that, and then run it in a few matches and see. So I have like a basis of knowledge to speak from in that area. Because right now, if I just say like, oh no, I like the 18-inch rifle length gas, I have one point of data. And granted, I did shoot that 13.5, but that's a completely different animal. It's more of like a bay only kind of thing. It does shoot out to 600 yards, but
so here's something for you. You just mentioned data, and I've heard a lot of guys over the years talk about, oh well, I was out practicing and this item performs 4% better. And they throw some number out there. And every time they say that, I say, will you just go ahead and send me a copy of that data? Like, don't lie to my face. Jay and I have gone and trained. Were you out there? You remember Or Tactical when we were doing velocities on a new load? Okay, so did some load development. And I still have my logbook with every velocity, the bullet weight, all those things in place. It's the same stuff that we did in the Marine Corps when we changed. At one point, we were shooting national match A4s, the 20-inch barrel, and we were cutting barrels back to 16 inches and doing a ton of barrel testing. And we did velocity testing on all those barrels. And guys are like, oh, even the Marine Corps was like, you don't want to shoot a 16-inch barrel for accuracy. Your barrel's not going to be accurate. And I said, no, we're losing about 20 foot per second. That's all we're losing. And sure enough, that's what the data showed.
So I didn't have to buy that barrel. I could have just called you.
What? No, I'm not. I'm not saying that. But as far as these guys, like, I'm not going to say go to a match would be a bad place to come up with data anyway, because you're going to have so many variables. So if you're trying to play with a rifle and you want to set it up and see what feels good, the data testing to do would be back home. Like you did here recently, where you went out and shot your. I won't name the brand of your optic that you're shooting because they're competitor for mine. No, I'm just kidding. But you got your optic. You went out and you put some sessions in, post some videos of it. I'm like, that's perfect. Most people will go out and zero, and then they go shoot a match. Yeah, and like it worked great for the 5 rounds that I zeroed it. Like,
well, and see that's what I'm talking about. Is like when I say data, like I want to go out with a chrono.
Yep.
And I want to go
magneto speed. Use a magneto.
Yeah, I'm going to hook up with Ryan Hay in a couple days here.
I got one. You need to borrow it?
Yeah, shit, yeah. Do you have it with you?
No.
Okay.
I mean, I'm an hour down the road. I'll bring it.
Well, do you know who Ryan Hay is?
No, I don't.
He works at Magneto.
Works at Magneto.
Yeah,
okay.
So I'm going to go.
Well, hey,
so
don't borrow his. See if he'll give you one.
So while we're here at STI, we're checking out like all the pistols. I'm going to go trick Ryan into letting me chrono all my guns. So that's the plan anyway. Don't tell him. But anyway, so where was I going with that? Oh yeah, so I'm going to get chrono data. I'm going to punch that into like a STRI lock or something, see where the holds are, how different they are, and like do an actual comparison rather than just like, yep, feels good.
Yeah.
So that's the plan anyway, and so I can speak to it from an intelligent standpoint.
And it's good that you're doing that on your own, because so many people, they go right to the internet first.
Yeah. Well, I am the internet.
Yeah, but I mean, what is the best shotgun for a 3-gun?
Yep.
Okay, great. Just go shoot what you have, and if you like it, go with it. So the fact that you're doing it, and even if I gave you data, I mean, there's on the share drive there in Quantico, we had, I don't know how many hundreds of gigs, terabytes of video and testing stuff that we did over the years, and guys still to this day call me, well, what are you going to do for this? The information's there, man. Like, you got to do a little bit on your own.
Well, and that's where I think I can help people, right, is because everybody goes straight for the internet, but now they're going to Facebook. Well, and it's just all opinions, which, as we know, everybody has one, right? So if I can put together something interesting that is, I can publish it on the 3-Gun Show or whatever, now it's like a resource for people to go to.
Well, here's good information. So your match recons, awesome.
Thank you.
Instead of somebody saying, what matches are you shooting this year? Where should I go? Actually saying, this is what's happening. This is what I like, and that's what I don't like. You form your own opinion off of that. Instead of just saying, like this year, for example, I'm just having Jay sign me up for matches. Like, honestly.
That's awesome.
Jay, please sign me up for matches.
Cause do that for me too, buddy.
Because I can't. I don't want to sit here and like pick and choose what matches are going. Yeah. I don't want to pick and choose. And
that wasn't part of it.
It's more of, okay, we're going to go shoot these matches instead of me saying, I don't really want to shoot that one because it doesn't fit my style. No, I'm just going to go.
All right.
I'm going to go form my own opinion. Probably going to do hard as hell at some point.
I'm definitely going next year. It was that much fun.
Well, at least,
and I'm still sore.
At least do hard as hell Texas.
Yeah, Texas.
I think I jacked my wrist up. Yeah, I ate shit. Resetting. It was so muddy. It was so muddy. I ate shit resetting, and fell right in my holster. Didn't break, by the way. LAG Tactical. Anyway, so on the you're welcome for that. So on the match topic, I got another question here from the Instagram, and this one's from JD, and he says, "Okay, this is super loaded. I'm going to kind of abbreviate. Super loaded question. If you were to recommend your top 5 3-gun matches that I should look into as a newer 3-gunner, what would you recommend? So far on my match, I'm planning on making to Fort Benning again next year. So his first match was Fort Benning.
Okay.
He signed up for the DC Project team match here in Texas. I got to tell you a funny story for my that I'm going to do for the team match. By the way, remind me before we end here. I've been looking into matches at Rock Castle, which is always awesome.
Yep.
Which I added that part, as well as nationals down in Frostproof, USPSA nationals. My main goal is, first off, getting getting a much experience with a wide variety of 3-gun styles as possible. Secondly, nice scenery, love traveling, love beautiful places, etc. Getting as much exposure with big names in the industry as possible, and networking a lot so I can get established in the 3-gun realm quicker. Live in Southeast Alabama. So I would say, based on that, one recommendation would be Rockcastle Pro-Am.
Yep. So sounds like he's been to one match at least, major, went to Benning.
Mm-hmm.
So Pro-Am it's a format where, they do have the AM side. So if he's not comfortable jumping onto the bigger circuit, they've got.
I think this guy's like a B-class USPSA shooter.
Okay, so jumping on the pro side, but
yeah.
It's not a extremely physically demanding, like these 90-yard runs or whatever.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's a good match to go to where you're not killing yourself. You get to enjoy.
Everybody's going to be there.
Yep.
So
Everybody
it's a good place to mingle with other 3-gunners.
Beautiful facility there.
Yeah.
I like going to Mammoth.
Rockcastle's awesome.
Yeah.
Have you been to Rockcastle?
I've never been.
Dude.
That is one of the additions to my schedule this year. That actually, probably the number one addition to my schedule this year, especially since our August match is gone now. The Rocky Mountain.
Well, the main match, but yeah, I was going to say one of two places. So if he's looking for scenery and he wants to experience different match format, I would say Rocky Mountain's still on my list. One, you're not going to – I love shooting in Raton. I love, the NRA Whittington Center is just amazing. But
if you haven't been, you need to go.
Yeah.
As a person who is listening to this, you're obviously into shooting. You need to go there. It's like a mecca.
Yep. And this year would be this would be a match to go to now where he could go shoot a very difficult match. I don't know if they're doing prize table or if it's just a trophy match or whatever, but it's 2-day format now, just a Saturday, Sunday.
It's going to be much, much more toned down.
Yeah.
So it'll be probably a good new person match maybe.
Yeah, because, you mentioned earlier, when you started shooting. So I started shooting competitively back in 2006, and in all the years that I've shot, the matches have kind of come and gone as far as prizes. When I started shooting USPSA, you weren't getting something unless you won. I think my biggest finish at USPSA at the time was like 5th or 6th or something overall at the Gator Classic one year, maybe 9th, I don't remember, but I got like a mag pouch. And it was awesome. And then I, my gunsmith Benny Hill dragged me into 3-gun, and I go to the first match, which was Rocky Mountain, which was my warm-up. That was a practice match to go to Fort Benning that year. Man, that was pretty eye-opening going out there. But seeing that $300,000 prize table, it was like 30th, and walked off with a gun. I mean, crazy. But
I remember my first match. So first of all, I DQ'd, but they said, "Oh, now you're not eligible for the prize table." And I was like, "The what now?"
You mean there's goodies?
Yeah, that's what I said. I was like, "We didn't just pay to shoot this.
We're not here for the prize table."
And that's what I'm getting at for the new shooters is if you're coming into the sport for the prize table, stay home.
Yeah, first of all, we don't want you here because if you're in it for that, you're not in it for the right reasons.
That's right. And that's one of the biggest debates is, are we going to have a prize table? And I say it because it's, guys will talk about it and, well, does a sponsor want you to take something off the prize table and sell it? I don't think they really care. I sponsor a bunch of matches myself, and I don't care what you do with my product. It's basically a tax write-off anyway.
Do you want to explain where you sponsor matches from?
Well, I sponsor matches on behalf of Barnes Precision Machine. I run his sponsorship program. I've represented, a whole gambit of companies at matches as a sponsored shooter and delivering product for them there for Leupold or, STI, other companies, and understanding that, at some places putting, let's say we have a new product, Barnes Precision, we haven't really done anything as far as new groundbreaking product in the last couple of years. Like we've got some new stuff coming out this year, but I don't send stuff like, hey, this is our latest thing that we're trying to get the market to see. I send stuff that I know competitors are going to want. And it's part of my advertising budget. So we're paying to sponsor the match, so we're going to get exposure on our products.
Right.
Some companies will choose to put products on the table that they're having trouble moving, maybe, and looking at the cash value and whatever they choose to do. Great, but at the end of the day, when I walk a prize table, if there happens to be one, I've been fortunate enough where I'm placing pretty good. I still look at the prize table the same way as I did when I first started. I look on the table of what do I want as another toy here.
Yeah.
And there's been a lot of times where I've walked clear past a bunch of guns and FFL items and hired all items to pick up stuff that I actually want. Mm-hmm. And there's been a couple times where I've missed out on items on a prize table and then immediately gone and bought that because, like last year at the Vortex match, I was so mad because I had a Magneto Speed on the table.
Yeah.
And I've, been borrowing my buddies and I wanted one and it walked right in front of me. So, like, the next day I ordered one.
So, totally
works.
I mean,
it
totally works.
It absolutely works. And you know what? If I forgot who picked it up, but if he would have turned around and said, hey, I'm top level shooter. I won the match. I got this Magneto Speed. I don't need it. Does anybody want to buy it? I would have bought it on the spot. Mm-hmm. Do I think the guys over at Magneto would have been upset with that? No. I think that hit the market perfectly.
Yeah.
But yeah, as far as prize tables goes, obviously I would like to get something off a prize table. Mm-hmm. Like the whole goal of winning a match, I want two things. I want to crush the souls of my enemies and make them, I want to make people feel bad about what they're doing. And then, if they're
question all their life decisions.
And if there's a prize table, I want the biggest, shiniest prize. To be honest, and everybody's like, oh well, it's crazy to think that people would sell stuff off the prize table. It's crazy to think that you're upset at a guy when he just spent $5,000 to be here, mm-hmm. and he's trying to offset his cost any way he can. Like, if all that's on the table is another AR, well, I work for an AR manufacturer. I could get guns every year, but I'm still shooting the same gun I got 7 years ago. Like, I don't need 5 ARs in my safe. I only need one.
So that said, then pick another match, and then we'll move over to Jay here.
Other matches, another match that would be fun to shoot for first time shooter, new year. So we did Rocky Mountain Pro-Am. He mentioned
he's got to shoot something in Texas. If he doesn't shoot in Texas, he doesn't shoot.
Oh yeah, he's got to come to Texas.
All the Texas matches, and then followed by other stuff.
Yeah, I would say my top choice for Texas matches, I'm going to go with the Vortex match just because it's such
Vortex Shooter Source 3-gun championship.
That is a rifleman game. Like, if you want to know how you stack up in the world, go shoot that match.
Dude, I came to the match this year with a bunch of my buddies from Colorado. We got there, and on one stage, we were like, holy shit, this is more long-range targets on this one stage than each of the last 3 matches I shot.
And you're going to get your value as far as your match fee goes.
Oh, yeah.
You're going to shoot. I think I looked at total time between Rocky Mountain, which is usually a big match, and then Vortex, and they were both about, I think, 1,024 seconds total match time. And there's 6 other matches I shot that year that combined didn't equal that time.
Yeah.
Well, I think all of USPSA Nationals for the 66 stages I shot, I might have shot for 900 seconds or something.
Well, that's hard as hell. Josh Fralick said that. He's like, the par time on stage was, 500 seconds, right? And it is more than every match that he shot in the entire season. Well, that par time is more than all his time on clock.
Right. They need to bring back old Iron Man.
Yeah.
Call Travis. Travis, please put Iron Man back on.
Change.org. There's a change.org. If we get enough signatures, the president has to talk to Travis.
The last year I shot right. I shot it in Trooper. And I would rather have shot it in TAC, but we shot it in Trooper. And I want to go back and do that again.
Yeah.
That match was fun. Now, the Trooper division wasn't as hard as having to walk around it. Carrying stuff from stage to stage wasn't necessarily difficult, but, just that whole aspect of...
They have Trooper hard as hell.
Yeah. Who did that the last 2 years? Mark?
Oh, yeah.
Mark did it this
he's
year.
done the last couple of years. A ton of people did it. Sky, Dustin Sanchez, And Jackie Carrizosa from JP did it.
You see Mark, 109,000 pounds of gear, whatever,
Yep.
put on his back.
Walking in flip-flops, smoking a cigarette,
Yeah.
carrying all this shit.
That's one of those challenges. Like, okay, it's physically tough, but he's having a blast.
Well, and, in that particular case, like, I don't think Trooper is as bad as everyone.
No.
Oh, a Trooper. You know?
Old Trooper used to be a real kick in the nuts.
They make you park outside the gate. Cool, that's an extra half mile. Make them park at like a hotel or something like that. Make them hike in like 3 miles.
So the first year I shot Trooper at Ironman, it was you check in with all your equipment and whatever you're going to have the entire time, ammo and everything, you check in with it the first day, and then when you're done shooting, everything goes in a little shed there that they lock up on site.
Mm-hmm.
They control your guns for you, but you do your weapons maintenance right there, and then you go home. You come back the next day, you pick up your kit, and you go. So the first 2 days,
I would like to do that in TAC, actually.
yeah,
Right.
And you're gonna watch my stuff for me? Thanks, man.
I know.
No, but I mean, we showed up and it was 85, 90 degrees out, so I'm wearing pants with knee pads in them and a t-shirt, and that's it. Second day, same thing. Third day, northern blew in, and it's snowing and hailing and raining.
Oh, nice.
And like the true gentleman I am, I show up wearing the same shirt. Like, this is the equipment I brought. This is what I'm playing in. And some guy showed up in like a police officer's, bright yellow trench coat. And I made him take it off. I fussed at him until he took it off. I said, you didn't show up with this you didn't carry this for 2 days. Put it back. And matter of fact, one of the guys on our team was having some issues. He had just got snipped a couple days before and was out shooting a match, which he shouldn't have been.
Should not be doing.
And he was like shivering.
Shouldn't
he was
have been
sick.
getting snipped.
And I was like, here,
here
staffs aren't. You can go sit in the car and turn the heater on. We'll reset. We got you. And he did. And I've busted his balls about it to this day. But
Well, Jay, matches for you, man.
Typically what I've been doing the last couple of years is just shooting all the Texas matches. And then, like we talked about, shoot Texas matches, fill in the blanks with other stuff that I can get to. This year, the first time I shot Rocky Mountain 3-gun. And, I mean, it's like James said, the place, just awesome match. The facility is amazing. The people up there were great. So that's one of the top ones. Vortex Shooter Source is my favorite Texas match at this point. Followed very closely by Texas 3-Gun Championship. So that's one that...
Which is supposed to have a bunch of open terrain this year.
Right.
Which I'm kind of excited about.
Yep. They said they opened up the range to the match. They're only going to have, I think, 3 base stages, they said.
Yep. Out of 10, right?
Out of 10. So that'll make 7 terrain instead of opposite of that last year.
Yep.
And then, of course, Reveille Peak is just another, amazing hill country, scenic facility out in Texas.
Bring your bore brush for your shotgun so you can clean out your magazine tube.
The freaking red moon dust.
oh yeah, it's gonna be dusty.
Yeah, you have to So
get a range bag and use it.
Yeah.
Don't put your guns in the gun rack.
Yep.
Yeah. If you got a wagon.
Yeah,
leave it
for
at home.
sure. But funny story about that red dirt. So we got done shooting, and AR Gold invited us to go to dinner with them there in town after the match that day. So we walked in a little bit late, and a whole bunch of guys were
at the
already
barbecue
there.
place?
Yeah, at the barbecue place. So we walked in, and I, being the polite gentleman I am, went to say hi to everybody before I went to the restroom and washed the dirt off. Well, every time somebody turned around to say hi, they'd give me a funny look.
Yep.
I was like, all right, cool, good to see you, whatever. Go in the bathroom, wash up. Face is just covered in that red dirt.
Dude, well, we shot in the same squad, right?
That's right.
And so when I walked in, Jacob Bedsworth goes, "Holy shit, look at your face." I'm like, okay, we're too close to each other. Yeah. we need to be a little more formal, Jacob.
Yep. Yep. But
I got a great picture of of me in the bathroom trying to wash my face off. It was incredible. Looked like your shirt, your STI shirt.
Yep. Yeah, you just keep washing it, and it keeps coming off, and you wash some more, and more dirt in the sink. Anyhow, that aside, great facility, great match.
Yeah, we should go back to that barbecue place.
Yeah,
that was a cool
we can
place.
probably make that happen.
I mean, it's not too. I mean, we can go there for lunch right now.
Oh yeah, actually,
It's like
not
right
too
down
far
the road
away.
from
Yeah,
here.
Shit. All right, guys. Well, so we are at STI, like the headquarters of both of your pistol sponsors. Y'all invited me here to come out and shoot some guns. They've got the new Staccato.
Yes, sir.
Which I was like, well, okay, that's kind of a girl's name, and it's a single stack pistol, so nah. But I get to go shoot the Omni in the limited, so
Right.
I'll go. I was pleasantly surprised. I was wrong, and I apologize.
You are forgiven, Dave.
That's actually a really fun gun. Like, I thought you guys were just bullshitting when in the videos you did, but it's actually a really cool pistol.
There are not a lot of carry guns that I like to shoot,
Yeah.
but that one, I mean, it legitimately feels like shooting a full-size gun.
Yeah. So I was shooting it, and it was remarkably flat. Like, small guns, carry guns are supposed to be snappy. They're supposed to recoil, or maybe not recoil a lot, but like flip a lot, like muzzle flip, you know?
Yep.
This one didn't do it. It was super flat, easy to track the sights, even though we were shooting in a Connex box and it was dark.
Yes, it
So
was.
How'd you like that carry trigger? 4.5 pounds
yeah, I mean, it felt amazing.
instead of a 19-pound
Yeah.
trigger that they,
Yeah, and Jay called me on it. He's like, you don't need to mash the trigger like it's your Glock.
Right.
I'm used to it when I bust out my my Glock 26. That's my carry pistol. I'm just like, claw, 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 just really giving it hell. But yeah, it was a really nice trigger. Shot really well. Felt good. Pretty amazing. Nice grip. The grip's pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, just like I said, took the 2011 technology and design and just basically made it into a little single stack, slightly smaller, and it still shoots like one.
Yeah.
Nice, crisp 1911 single action brake.
So I've been shooting for STI for a long time. I've been shooting STI since I first got into sports, since 2006, and seeing the change in the atmosphere here. I mean, talking with the gun builders, seeing the company as a whole, the renewed excitement with the program. I mean, it's, I get it all the time where I run into people out in the market and they're not a fan of STI because they shoot for another gun builder.
Mm-hmm.
I get it. But nothing bothers me more than people blatantly trashing somebody else's product to sell their own in its place.
Right.
Like, hey, this is a competing product. and they do it by giving misinformation. Matter of fact, at Texas,
I came in with a whole sack full of misinformation.
yeah, and there's stuff that happens.
That's right.
It is a very mechanical. It's a gun and it can break. There are pieces there, but people are like, matter of fact, last year at Three Gun Nation Regional, Texas, Dissident hosted it, right? So we're out there shooting, and a couple of guys were looking at my gun, and they're like, "Oh, you're shooting a stock STI?" And I said, "Yep." Like, you probably had to change this extractor out. I said, "Actually, no, I haven't." And guys are like, "Oh, well, STI extractors, they're no good for they wear out about 1,500 rounds." Like, funny thing you should say, because I've got 90,000 rounds through this pistol. As a matter of fact, the guys over in the custom shop right now are begging me to bring that gun in. They're like, "Can we do something? Can we rebarrel it for you?" And every time I brought it in, they're like, "That's it? You just want a new recoil spring? That's it?" Like, I pin the grip safety and I go. I mean, I took that match to Rock Castle one year, got it from the FFL that night, left to Rock Castle, got there in the morning, pulled the gun out of the box, sighted it in, or shot a mag through it to make sure I knew where it was hitting. Went, shot the first stage, completely forgot about the grip safety. Had to go shoot, and took a top finish at the match with a bone stock gun. And I've never changed anything on the gun other than pinning the grip safety. And so guys are, spitting stuff, and they're like, "Oh, well, the guns, they break after this." And I'm like, I don't know what tinkering you're doing, but, this gun as it was built works this way.
Did they have like a period of time where maybe quality of parts or quality of workmanship was not good? Because I hear that repeated so often. I wonder where it comes from.
Well, I think with anything, anytime you're going to have a market where there's going to be a potential for volume, volume usually trashes QC.
Yes.
And maybe it's owner, but mechanically the parts, you could have a part that comes back from hardness, and is just a bad batch. It happens. Maybe you send a gun off to coating, and the outside agency or outside company that you have doing your coatings, it could be like a DLC coating, for example.
Yep.
We do DLC. It doesn't take, if the process is done incorrectly somewhere, there could be an issue with your DLC coating. It doesn't mean the gun's bad. It means it had a bad coating. And what people fail to realize is we have a warranty. We have a lifetime warranty on our stuff. And guys are like, I had a problem with my pistol, and I didn't like it, so I got rid of it. Well, why didn't you send it back? We would have fixed it. I went and bought this other $5,000 custom handgun instead of, it'd be like buying a BMW and selling it because you got a flat tire. Like, really? Okay. So
Yeah, guns are frustrating when they don't work, man. But
yeah,
having a company that's going to stand behind it instead of just saying like, well, that's how it is. Give it a few thousand rounds and break it in.
Well, I mean, it's funny because you're sitting here wearing a shirt.
I am wearing a shirt.
It's
a Vortex shirt, for God's sake.
So, and I'm
Just say
I'm
it,
wearing
Vortex.
competing
Just say
brand, so Vortex and Leupold, right? That's another one.
I've shot both. They both make great optics.
Yep,
I picked my horse,
and I agree.
That doesn't mean that Leupold makes junk.
But you've also been in the conversation.
Did I say that right? Leupold?
Leupold, yeah.
Okay.
But you've also been in conversation where people are like, "Oh, Leupold are great, but their warranty sucks."
Yeah.
Or and it's like, what? What are you talking about? Like that just politically, not political, but the, you are getting your media from somebody on the internet who's wearing a tinfoil hat. Like,
Yeah.
What are you doing?
Repeating things that they've heard again and again and again.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Or something like that.
That goes back to the training that we talked about where guys are giving data and saying this is the best match to go to because of this data, or this is the best equipment to run because of this data.
Mm-hmm.
But they're repeating it third-hand and fourth-hand information. And the guy who originally did the testing is like, that's not at all what was proven here. So, yeah, I take people's word on certain things. They're like, well, I did, if somebody changes a part on a gun because they didn't like it, great, but, this part doesn't work. I don't know who you're trying to sell that to, but, I'm not buying it.
Yeah. So I've been in, Jay, you heard me say this earlier. I've been in sales for, let's see, how old am I now? 22 years, right? And I guess I took a little bit of break there in some roles, but really, to be a planner, you got to sell the idea of schedule to people. But degree in marketing, stuff like that. And anytime someone denigrates another product to me, whether it's like Ford, Chevy, you walk into the Chevy dealership and they start putting down Ford, because I drove in a Chevy.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, this guy will be on my side. I'll start talking shit about Fords. It's like, lost me, bro.
You turned me off.
Yeah, exactly. Because you're a shitty salesman or just I guess uncreative individual. Like let's be a little bit more creative about that. And so, in the I guess I've been fortunate to be surrounded by high functioning individuals who present like a good model that you can follow, and I don't hang around with people that will, don't buy that because that's a piece of shit. They will sell the benefits of this compensator rather than trash that one because it doesn't have the set screw or the port in the right place or whatever,
They rather educate you and let you make your own decision.
Yeah. And
that's
because there's some guys that really just absolutely love 45 ACP.
Yeah.
And they swear by it, and that's good for them. That's not what I carry.
Yeah, so I carry 9 because I like to have a lot of things.
Yeah.
But that said, like I like shooting 45.
Oh, that's what I shot at Nationals. I shot single stack.
Yeah.
Well, I shot all 3 divisions, but that was the division that I enjoyed shooting most.
Yeah, single stack.
Single stack.
But I think we can all agree that 40 sucks, right? 40 is a terrible cartridge and should be
Definitely
put to
not a
death.
fan.
I wish they would get rid of 40.
Me too.
I wish they do.
Wouldn't be mad.
If USPSA limited division did not exist, 40 would go away because like the FBA has already said like, nah, we're going back to 9, and like a lot of municipalities are too. All right, you heard it here first. 40 is dead.
We killed it.
Long live 9.
Yeah.
And 45. We're okay
9
with
and
45.
But if you want a pistol chambered in 40, we'll sell you one.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You bet.
If you want to make bad decisions, we'll help you.
We don't condone it, but we will promote it.
Yeah. So you're just talking about USPSA Nationals. So we're going like on hour 15 here. It's about 4 o'clock. So let's do like 10 minutes on Nationals because I want to get your impression. Because James, I always look at you as a 3-gunner. When I think James Gill, I think 3-gun. I don't think USPSA. However, with the death of the 3-Gun Nation Pro Series, it seems like 3-gunners as a whole are branching out into a lot more shooting, precision shooting, USPSA, maybe IDPA, all kinds of other things, right? Yep. So, adventure races. Do you call them races? Adventure sniper challenges, all kinds of stuff, right? There's so much shooting out there. Why not do it all? So what was your USPSA Nationals experience like?
Okay, so disclaimer, I actually started shooting competitively in USPSA and then made the transition to 3-gun.
Right. So I'll put a link to the first show that you were on in the show notes, so you can check it out at 3gunshow.com if you're listening. And you can hear the backstory. So I knew that. But when I think of you, because my first exposure to you before we had our interview was 3-Gun Nation.
Yeah, and exactly. I mean, 3-gun, it is a lot of fun. But as people come into the sport and they're saying, okay, now we have so many matches to go to, so much to choose from, they kind of flooded the market and killed some matches that were actually really good. They took something that was good at one point and just crapped on it. 3-Gun Nation... Not dogging on their program, but they were hosting so many matches that it was like, well, if I don't make this one, I'll go to the one next weekend, kind of mentality. So instead of having a really good match once or twice a year, they had a bunch of crappy matches.
Right.
And so I think people are saying, well, instead of going to these matches, I'm going to look at precision rifle or USPSA. Well, I did it the exact opposite as far as the reason I'm going to other matches. I'm going back to USPSA for the training. I got very relaxed in my pistol shooting because of 3-gun. Mm-hmm. A lot of the outlaw stages, your ninja skills, I should say, with a pistol, your absolute precision marksmanship isn't really needed for 3-gun. It's more of your efficiency through a stage. And if I was sluggish with a pistol, I could make it up with a rifle or a shotgun, or you could shoot the shotgun instead of a pistol kind of thing. So forcing myself back into USPSA, it is fun. USPSA is very fun, but there's a lot that you have to learn in that sport, which teaches you, when speed is acceptable. It's a very technical sport. I was talking to Jay about it the other day as far as, hey, on a short course you need to worry more about your points, and on a long course worry more about your speed, and it's a much more technical sport than 3-gun. I really think so. Mm-hmm. And so I'm using it as more of a premium training environment for 3-gun. I'm not getting away from 3-gun. I love shooting 3-gun. But nationals. So I went to nationals this year. Hadn't shot. My last USPSA classifier was from 2009.
Oh, nice. What classification were you?
I think I was A class in open and B in limited and B in production or something. And ended up I was unclassified in single stack. I've shot matches in single stack before and shot it, but never shot enough classifiers to actually get classified. And going to that match, it was frustrating for me because going from 3-gun where I was used to having really consistent podium finishes, I think in optics I was like 107th or something, and which actually wasn't terrible. You know, considering there was like 6,000 people there or something. I don't know. I mean, it was like I think it was like 450 people or something open.
Wow.
So
That's a lot.
I don't know the exact numbers, but it was a definite kick to my ego. But it was able to show me like, hey, where I'm at skill wise, I can perfect certain things. And so I worked pretty heavily on my plyometric training over the last couple of years, and not necessarily the shooting. Well, USPSA is all plyometrics, and you have to be pretty good with shooting. So now it's forced me to bring my pistol skills up a little more. But yeah, I went right to Open Nationals, shot 3 guns that were all stock configurations with stock ammo, and went with the expectation that I'm not going to win the match. I'm just going to go. I'm going to try not to fall on my face, but I'm going to do it. I'm going to shoot 9 days straight, which was actually pretty brutal. Mainly because there was 11 classifiers for each match. I'm sorry to interrupt, but did you end up with the bloody knee that we were talking about a long time ago? I don't. Well, towards the end of the 9 days, yes, my leg did get tore up. Back of my leg was kind of rubbed raw, but that happens all the time, so that wasn't anything new. But the difficulty for me at that match was maintaining my focus for 22 stages for each match.
It's got to be a lot.
And especially when you come to some stage and you look at it and it's 3 targets. You're like, oh, I got to stand up, shoot that target, reload, and shoot those 2 targets? Easy. And I shoot it, and I'm, 65% of the stage winner. Like, wow, there's a lot that I'm missing here. And it wasn't like I just slacked off on that stage. It's a high degree of difficulty to master that, in such a small space. And it's some of the skills that we kind of forget about when we go back to shooting 3-gun, because you're shooting 90 rounds on a stage instead of 9.
Right.
So that was what, the challenge for me there was staying focused through that many stages.
Right. So you said you were shooting a single stack. What single stack pistol were you shooting?
I'm shooting a DVC Classic.
Okay.
I think we've discontinued that one.
Yeah, I was saying because
currently, yes.
There's no single stack other than the Staccato right now.
Yep, and that model gun, David Cup designed specifically for USPSA.
I got to meet David Cup.
Yeah, and that gun is awesome. I mean, it is the nicest shooting single stack 45. It's so nice to shoot. That's my favorite gun. It is the Classic. Out of all our pistols, that is my favorite. So I've had a couple guys over the years try and buy that pistol from me, and I'm not gonna sell it.
Good. Can't replace it either.
No. Well, there might be a few laying around here, but
maybe 1 or 2.
Have to go in the archive.
Yeah.
So Jay, we were just talking about USPSA. I heard someone say that you're going to be shooting some USPSA coming up here in the next season. So let's talk about your next season here. What are you looking forward to?
Yeah, so of course, first thing on the list is all the Texas 3-gun matches, to include Babes of Bullets, which is technically in Louisiana, but it's pretty close. So I think it's like 30 minutes across the border. So we just call it a Texas match anyway, because I think
it's like
everybody
our handbag.
Yeah.
It's what?
It's Texas's handbag.
There you go.
So, the 3-gun is, of course, still my primary focus. That's where I started. And now this coming year is where I'm going to be branching out. So throwing in some more USPSA matches. There's a few Texas major USPSA matches I'm going to be shooting. I got talked into shooting them in open division.
Yeah.
Which I will probably shoot multiple divisions, actually. I'll probably shoot open and limited in the same matches.
Are you going to shoot open minor? Or, excuse me, not open minor, limited minor.
Depends. Right now, yes, it will be limited minor. We'll see how the rest of the year goes if I end up with something major limited gun. But so then also with that, we're going to be probably working in a little bit of PRS next year as well. So I think we're getting some equipment lined out to get us going in that. So it's going to be a busy year. Might even squeeze a little bit of PCC in there. Ooh, I said it.
Prepare for the hate. You heard about my PCC adventure,
right? If I do, it'll literally be for one match. So, but yeah, I mean, like I said, focus 3-gun, shooting for a pistol company. Got to work in some USPSA, probably quite a bit. Don't know if I'll make it to nationals or not, but might try to see what happens there.
Cool. All right, dudes. Well, let's wrap her up. Let's go get some dinner. What do you guys say?
You betcha.
Absolutely.
All right. So any final thought that you dudes want to throw out there for the 3-gun show audience, starting with Jay?
Yeah, man. Just if anybody's leery about getting into competition, when I did it, I had myself a high .9 in my pocket. I showed up with 2 mags to a match, and Uncle Mike's nylon Velcro.
Oh, dude, you had the nylon Velcro?
You betcha. Anybody leery about competition, just get out and do it. If you have any questions, advice, looking for any guidance whatsoever, first check out 3gunshow.com.
Thanks, buddy.
That's where I got a ton of information, and no kidding, that helped me progress just as much as coaching from people. But hit up James or myself, and we'll get you in the right direction.
Yeah, so you're 3Gun Jay Christiansen with an E.
Correct.
The right way.
Yep.
On Instagram. So slide into Jay's DMs and ask him some questions. So what? I think that's what the kids are saying.
Yeah.
Gutter mind over here.
So James, final thought for you, buddy.
Final thoughts. Okay, guys, please stop asking me how to get sponsored, because I'm not going to help you with that. If you want help, I will help you learn how to shoot. That's what I'm good at.
Hey, there's a podcast for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So focus on.
We're going to do some shooting.
Yeah. So we're gonna do some shooting together. We'll have some training sessions. It'll be a good time.
Yeah, I just realized you're like a whole 2 hours closer to me than I thought you were, which is exciting.
Yeah, right in my backyard. So, yeah, by all means, if you want to shoot the sport, please jump in, shoot the sport, have fun while you're doing it. And if you want to make it a career and become a sponsored shooter, realize it's a real job.
Yeah.
And,
My favorite saying still, AMAX.
Yep.
Most expensive scope you ever.
No. Cheapest scope you'll ever get is the one you pay for.
Yeah.
I thought it was the most expensive scope you'll ever have is the one you got for free.
It works both ways.
That it does.
It does. All right, so James, you're james.gill556 on Instagram. And is it jamesgill556.com too?
Yeah, I don't know if my website is active at the moment, but either way.
Nope, failed to load. All right.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
you have until January
hit me
to
on
get
the
that.
gram.
Coming shortly.
I don't listen to the website anyway. Instagram's where I'm at.
Yeah.
Slide into his DM.
And
slide into the DMs.
If you have a problem with any of the pictures on my page, like if you don't like looking at freshly harvested meat, then still, I don't care. Just follow it.
I love freshly harvested meat.
Yeah. Let's go eat.
All right, let's do it. Guys, thanks for being on the show. Thanks for inviting me here to shoot a bunch of guns, and it was really cool. I love it. Thanks, guys.
You bet, Dave. Thanks for coming.
Hey, before you take off, if you're into this type of content, check out patreon.com/3gunshow. That's Patreon. There you will find bonus podcasts, all kinds of other different benefits of being a supporter of the 3-Gun Show, and you can support yourself for as little as $5 per month. That's patreon.com/3gunshow. Quick reminder that if you enjoyed this episode of the podcast, subscribe in iTunes, Google Play, Podcast Addict, or wherever you get your podcast content, so you will always get the very latest. Thank you so much for downloading, listening, and subscribing to the show. I'm Dave Hartman, and I'll see you on the range.
finished. Unload, show clear.